But yeah, we're excited because we also have another really cool guest speaker joining us today. His name is Dan Spence. He owns an AI automation agency in the UK, and he's going to be sharing some cool strategies today with us. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. We're excited. We're excited to learn some AI automation.
Awesome, thank you for the intro, and I've got quite a act to follow from. So I'm going to be talking about my agency. We're all in the AI automation space, so building automations for businesses, and I just want to really touch on today how you can implement AI into your business and really make the most of it. With all of the technology that's out there, I'm sure all of you are playing around with ChatGPT and things like that, but we work with businesses where we can automate somewhere between 40 and 83 is the most we've managed percent of all of their processes. So if you think of how you could streamline everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis with AI and automation. So I'm just going to start with showing you kind of what really AI automation is. So it's using tools like NA10, Zapier or Zapier, depending on how you say it, and Make.com, which is my go-to tool. There's benefits to all of them. NA10 is able to run on your laptop or server, so the data security element of it is really, really high. So when we're dealing with banks and kind of those kind of companies that have got loads of data concerns, it's a really, really exciting platform. Zapier is another great tool. There's other benefits to this. Zapier is kind of the leader in the space. It's the one that kind of Make.com and even NA10 are kind of chasing after that point. But my go-to is Make.com mainly because it's really pretty and nice to work with. But there's kind of loads of other bits you can do on here. And then the other side of it is how the AI tools plug into this. I don't know how many of you have been playing around with Vappy. It's a voice agent, so it's able to do cold calls, answer the phone for you, basically act as like your AI receptionist, and it plugs into tools that you use on a day-to-day basis. So you can have it literally integrated into your system. So I'm just going to show you a couple of automations just to give you a bit of an idea of what it is that these automations actually look like. So this is one of our automations for posting on social media. So we fill out a Google Sheet with a load of different ideas about different topics that we want to kind of post about on LinkedIn. In this case, we're just using LinkedIn because it's more of a professional platform, should we say. So we're picking topics that we want to be seen as kind of a thought leader on. We're using Perplexity. If you guys have played around with many of the AI tools, Perplexity is up there as one of the best, mainly because it's really specific use case. So it is able to go away and look at 10 plus sources that are available on the internet. So if you were to go to Perplexity for a fact-finding mission, it's really, really powerful as it's able to gather loads of data from different points and then kind of like create you a summary based on that. So if let's say in this one, we're going to be talking about data concerns of AI and kind of, or even how many jobs AI is going to replace with new technology and so on. From there, it then gets moved over. It will go through and research all of these, and then we can feed ChatGPT all of that information so that we look like absolute experts in this area. And really, ChatGPT's done all of our legwork for you. This module in particular is trained on all of our previous LinkedIn posts that we did manually. So it gets our tone of voice and feel and everything. It adds in emojis and fun stuff like that, and you can kind of prompt it accordingly. From there, it literally just posts that straight onto LinkedIn. We have this run at 9:07 every day, and our LinkedIn post goes out, so there's as much content out there as you want. We will get to the point where it's just continuous, and we could technically do this every 5 minutes for every day, non-stop, and just blast out as much content as we want. I probably wouldn't recommend that, but there is potential to do that. And then the last step is deleting the row. Which then just means the rows are kind of almost always moving up and new posts are being selected each day. That's kind of just one of the elements you can do. The next one is quite a fun one. We've got this out for a accountancy firm that was setting up basically trusts and dealing with all of the paperwork and signing and all of that normally they would spend days doing. This process instead is using a form that they just fill out, and from there he goes away and actually builds out the signed document. So he goes away and fills out all of the information that they need on kind of like address, what the company is going to be doing, and so on. And then depending on who signed it and who they want to be as trustee and so on, it gets created in sign request and gets emailed over. So instead of them manually writing out all of these elements and then scanning it off and posting it to the customer to get them to sign it, to post it back, we can now do it in approximately 30 seconds with a very, very simple automation like this. You might notice that there's kind of 4 different layers. This is all for the different variations of who can sign, how many parties there are, and so on. So it's just kind of putting in the rest of those elements. And then there's a second part that comes off the back of this. So once the document has been signed, this is triggered as a result of that. And then it's going to update the Google Sheets that we've got, so that then they've got a constant log of who's actually signed these requests and so on. It will get the documents out of it, transform it into a PDF, and then save it and email it over to the accountant. So literally the second somebody's completed their form, it gets sent straight over and it can be filed off to wherever it needs to go. This next one's a really interesting one. We built this for a company in the US that was looking at kind of all of the kind of local laws and stuff that were being passed. The videos were all live streamed, so that kind of people are able to have a say and kind of anybody can join in on what decisions are being made. And this is the process of basically collecting that data and turning it into a newsletter, a blog post, and so on, so that it can notify and keep informed all of the other kind of business owners and people, whoever was interested in basically what was being said in the news, so that then they had an opportunity to have their voice heard. It's also really good for them and their SEO and kind of keeping on top of policies and stuff like that. So this automation basically goes through, transcribes the call, extracts all of the data, and then writes up multiple reviews and even optimizes it for SEO. All the second that the live stream finishes, so all of that gets done on autopilot. This is one for those of you who are marketing agencies. So this is one that we built out for a big marketing agency in the UK, and is possibly one of my favorites just because of how much of a process it automated almost straight away. Once again, we're using a form which is basically their onboarding form. So it's asking them for their Google Ads login, it's asking them for their Meta login, it's asking them for kind of all of the data that they would need in order to kind of collect this information and actually start doing the job. So instead of going back and forth with different clients and so on, it's able to kind of collect that information straight away. From there, we're just logging that data in a Google Sheet, so they've always got it. They've got a safe place where all of the data and emails and so on are all logged. It creates a folder which gets shared with the client later on. So each client has their own folder, which has their 10-week plan, login info, trackers. So these trackers are self-populated with other automation, so they know how many people have clicked on their videos, how many people have engaged with their ads, and so on. And basically all of those processes through there, all done on autopilot. So when it comes to the end of month review on kind of like, oh, what's our pay per click and all of these other things, it's all done and automated in a sheet so that it's nice and easy instead of flicking through on Facebook ads and Google ads and looking at all of the data to kind of work out, okay, how do we do for this client? You're actually able to kind of very briefly come and pop onto this, and it's all live data as you go. We collect a lead list, so a lookalike audience and so on is created in here. It builds them out a contract, which is even dated and adjusted based on kind of what's been said. It doesn't actually send it over. We've got it, so it just logs it for the time being. And after that, this is where the fun stuff starts. So AI actually starts doing their job for them. It starts writing out ad copy. It starts writing out keywords that could have been of interest. It starts writing video scripts. It starts kind of building call to actions and so on, all part of this process as it goes through. It then builds a follow-up system. So once these leads have engaged and then disappeared off the face of the planet, there's a 20-step follow-up sequence that's all logged in here, as well as actually doing the offer creation, which we've touched on this evening a lot. This is using a couple of really strong models about what this offer could be, and comes up with multiple suggestions that then you can pitch back to your new client to say, like, oh, have you ever thought about doing X, Y, and Z? And bearing in mind, this is all trained on previous offers that we've done, or well, the customer's done, and has worked really well. Then all this gets logged in a sheet. We share the tracker and the 10-week plan with the customer, as well as the document with all of this information collected in. And email the team internally, as well as sending them a notification to their phone and blocking a morning out in their calendar, so that then they've got time allocated to make sure that all of these ads are set up correctly and everything's done, and then launch the ads on another morning. If you've got any questions as I go through, I appreciate I'm rattling through this quite quickly, but I've got quite a few I want to run through, and then we'll do some questions at the end. But if you've got any questions, just pop them in the comments, and then we'll run through them as we go or at the end, whichever's easier. This is another really fun automation. So we built this out for tradesmen, so plumbers, electricians, roofers, kind of people that are up ladders all day, every day, but still have loads of these inquiries coming in. This is watching for emails coming in, using ChatGPT to actually ask further questions. So let's say you're a plumber and you've got an inquiry for, I've got a leak through the roof. I don't know where it's coming from. Like, can you come have a look? It will reply back asking any questions. So it might be like, oh, where are you based? Make sure that they're in their area and so on. And then we have that email sent off to the kind of the customer who's emailed in. AI will then come up with a summary and notify the individual that they've got this inquiry and these are the questions that have been asked. So that then very briefly they can look and be like, oh, water coming through the ceiling, that's never good. Let me get on that straight away, and they can kind of prioritize it accordingly. What's our next one? So this is for proposal creation, even. So after a call's been finished, and whether it's a sales call or just a discovery call, and you get that question of like, oh, can you just send me a proposal over? This tool uses AI to actually write out the proposals for you based on the call. So you can, well, calls are automatically saved. If you're looking at the fathoms in the event today, all of those are AI recorders, that those transcripts and calls get saved somewhere. We've just chose for ours to be saved in Google Drive. So the second that data is logged in Google Drive, it then triggers this automation, which will run through, download the file, have ChatGPT transcribe it and understand what's been said, and then has AI actually break down everything that was discussed in the calls, what you agreed as the next steps, and so on, so that these processes are all done, built out, and going off the back of that. And then you can just 5 minutes after a call have a fully built proposal, including all of the pricing that you quoted them for, all of the processes, and so on, which is absolutely amazing. This next one looks very similar. However, this is for a AI sales coach. So when you're doing your sales calls, whether you're kind of sticking to a script or getting a bit of a framework in place after you've done a couple of these, AI is able to kind of have a look at whether it's an agreed script or a framework and basically analyze how well you did. Same process triggered by a call being dropped straight into here after you finish the Zoom call and so on, so that at the end of the day, you can come back and reflect on the 10 sales calls that you've had on that day and have a look at all of the kind of the results that you've had, what went well, what you didn't do well. And the second module here is how you handled objections, whether you could have handled them before they even came up and kind of preempted these objections. And then it even like just emails that summary over to you and logs it in a Google Doc, so that you've got an ever-ending list of things that you can improve on. It also suggests improvements that it wants you to do for the next call, and it kind of like builds up this kind of knowledge of how well you do, and making sure that you keep improving on that. The other side of Automation X, so my agency, is lead generation. So we started off, and I imagine the same situation as lots of you, with our first client we could do some really cool stuff. We can build these really cool automations, but we really struggled to get anyone to talk to us. We weren't lucky enough to kind of attend this evening's meeting and learn about offers and everything like that. So lead generation was a real struggle for us initially. So we spent loads and loads of time looking into lead generation and building systems, which we then automated so that we could do 1,000 DMs a day. We could do so much volume because we can automate the process. There's no sitting there and manually doing any of this. At the minute, I think we send around 15,000 cold emails for our clients, all of them being customized with AI, which we'll move on to in a little bit. But I just wanted to show you a couple of these lead generation tools, which I think every single agency should be looking at the moment. This one, for example, is actually for customizing LinkedIn outreach. So you can put in a sheet of URLs in here, and this scraper will go onto the LinkedIn and have a look at everything about that individual, everything they've posted, every kind of basically everything that they've ever done on LinkedIn, every job that they've had, which school they went to, and basically all of the data you could ever need to know somebody on LinkedIn. We do still do a perplexity research on them and the company that they work for, so that you can kind of see if there's anything else out there, whether they've won an award, whether they've done whatever it is, if it's newsworthy or even just worth putting on a blog on a website. Perplexity will find it and kind of engage with that in this process. We scrape the company website as well for looking for more information, and then off the back of those 3 data points, we have ChatGPT actually analyze and break down which one of those it thinks would be the best for kind of like an introductory message. It's normally something along the lines of, I saw that you've got a new project on, or I saw your LinkedIn post about X, Y, and Z. And you can really build that connection that looks like you've gone away and done loads of research into this individual and you're handpicking them to work with. And then you can do this on scale, which I think is absolutely fascinating. And you can get it in the tone of voice and everything. It's a really, really powerful tool for that lead generation. You can actually train the AI on what it is that you want to help these individuals with, and it can come up with synergies and how AI thinks that you're going to be able to help them. And it's a really powerful way to get your offer across in a very personalized way. So this is for another one of our lead generation things. So we use Calendly for all of our calls. The second somebody books in our Calendly, it updates our Go High level. So this is just the process of basically taking their email, finding the individual within Go High level, and then basically updating them to the fact that we've had a call with them. So our CRM basically moves without us actually having to do anything. It's the same process for these individuals getting added to the system. So these are some of the clients we manage our lead generation for. The second we get a positive reply or kind of engagement in our emails, it will then go and get logged into the different CRMs and different places within that, and even emails kind of our clients saying, oh, you've got a new lead, this is kind of what's been said, and so on. As well as notifying iPhones and so on. There's so much you can do with this technology, and I hope that these handful of automations give you a real grasp of some of the elements. We do the same process for any bounced emails. So even though we're verifying all of our emails every now and then, they still bounce. So kind of collecting that data and logging it so that these people don't get contacted again. There's no point. All gets logged automatically every single time it happens. This one is quite a fun one. So this is the email automation that I was talking about earlier. So all of our emails that get sent out go through this system. So we've already scraped the data, which I'll show you on the next automation. But by this point, we have every individual's email and kind of first name and company name that we're going to contact. And it goes through the process of visiting the website to have a look at what it is that they do, kind of how you can work with those individuals. We go away, extract a load of data about them and the company. We then have Perplexity do some homework on them. So any awards that the company's won, any kind of literally anything about the company that's out there on the web. We summarize everything that we found on the website, and then we use Perplexity again to actually look for the individual this time. So if there isn't anything kind of newsworthy, if they haven't been voted in for some award or done something special, then 9 times out of 10 goes for their LinkedIn. So we're able to scrape loads of data about this individual, and we've got 3 amazingly valuable data points that we can compliment people on, can really kind of build that engagement and have a human interaction with them. But you're not spending hours going through their website looking for some reason to reach out to them. It's all just done for you on autopilot, and these can be sent while you're sleeping. And you'll just wake up to business in your inbox. We took it a little bit further on this one. So this is our lead scraping system. So if any of you are doing cold email or cold SMS or any of these forms of outreach, will know that getting hold of that data is really extremely valuable. If you use the likes of like Apollo and so on, quite a few of those are quite outdated. Apollo's database can be up to 7 years out of date, which I just think is crazy. So we use our own data scraping systems. We do piggyback most of it off the back of LinkedIn because it's a great hub of data, but we're enriching it through many, many other fields. So once again, we're looking for different fields. So here we're looking for CEOs of companies that have got 50 plus employees based in the States or wherever you want to be targeting, that runs a, I don't know, we'll stick with plumbers, a plumbing company, and we're going through and extracting that data. All of this is basically a waterfall of kind of different places we can check for data. So as it goes through, the data kind of like drips down, and we search for their emails here. If we can't find it, it carries on. If we can find one, it will go up and carry on. And all of that data gets logged in here, which then can be moved on to this next automation. So this automation is triggered off the back of the last automation finishing, if that makes sense. So when this sheet gets populated in here, it triggers this automation, which actually adds the lead to our CRM, so Go High Level. We then do the same kind of research that we've already talked about, to the point where it actually writes all 4 of our emails for us, including the offer and personalization to the individuals, and then actually goes and logs the emails and even sends them. I will just take a pause there to answer the questions that we've got so far, and then I'll carry on to the next little bit. Oh my goodness, there's quite a few on here. Is Go High Level any good? Yes, I really enjoy using Go High Level. There's quite a few tools in there that you can, lots of automations that you can build within there. It's a pretty much a good tool for kind of an overall, and I like the fact you can, if you're paying for the top package, you can give it to your clients. There's no kind of additional fee for that. If you're paying on the top one, you can hand it out as a freebie, or it's quite often something that we throw in on a sales call point of like, oh, here's an added freebie on the end of it. So there's loads of bits like that that Go High Level can do. Is there any chance we can share some of these frameworks with you? Yes. So at the end of this, I will share my TikTok. I post lots of these automations all the time on there, and I put links to them so that you can download some of these automations. And there's quite a lot of them that are blueprints that you can then use within your kind of on your tools. And I'll get some sent over as well that can be shared in the groups. Okay, are there any automations integrate with Go High Level? So yes, yeah. I mean, AI really, these automation tools have been around for a long time. AI was kind of that last little step where you really needed a human to say, okay, which way does it go here? What's the kind of process, or kind of like write me out something. That's really where AI kind of brought automation to the world. Like automation has been around for ages. You could automate a spreadsheet years ago, but AI has really helped kind of take it to that next level. If we are beginners at automation, okay, so one of the best things I'd recommend is actually getting stuck in and just building these automations. Like Make.com, Zapier, N8N, any of those are really, really powerful tools that you can get a grip of quite easily, and there's loads and loads of stuff out there on YouTube. So follow a YouTube tutorial, build it out with them, and you'll be shocked how quickly you can pick a lot of this up. Like start with something really simple, and then just build it up and build it up, and you'll be really impressed to see how many business processes that you do on a day-to-day basis that can be fully automated. Our goal is to automate as much of our processes as possible. Annoyingly, we've can't automate the building of automations, but I'm sure we'll get there. How do you learn to build these kind of automations? So building them's part of the process is actually is a trial and error. Is making stuff that breaks and going with the flow with it. The main thing is kind of how you spec it out. So going through that process, whether you're selling these to clients or for yourself, is kind of looking at, okay, what do I use? What are these tools that kind of connect together? How does it work? You'll be shocked with how much you can do. Everything from Facebook ads to SpaceX is on here, and you can connect all of these tools together. So really, if you can sit down and think about a process that you do the same every single day, or even fairly similar every single day, there is a very, very high chance you can automate pretty much all of it, which is great and quite scary depending on how you look at it. So what services does your agency specialize in, and who do you guys cater to? Very good question. So we've got basically three different strands of our agency. We do automation builds, so building those processes that you've seen this evening. What does that look like? How are they built? And basically building them to spec for individuals. So we'll have people come to us and say, look, I want to automate my onboarding sequence. I want to automate my Facebook ads, data collection, and presenting to clients, and the different processes like that. And we go, okay, awesome, we can do that. This is what it looks like. This is how we build it out. These are kind of the processes. The other side is lead generation. So we've built out a massive string of automations that book us somewhere in the realm of about 300 sales calls a month, all off the back of fully automated systems that run themselves. So we sell that to clients, and they sell like hotcakes, because it's such a amazing tool to have running in the background, and you kind of have nothing to really do with it. Stick some leads in the front end if you want. You can just implement one of our lead scraping systems, and it just runs. And then the last wing of the company is the consulting arm. So we go into companies and have a look at everyone's processes, same as building these processes out. But we go in and look at companies and streamline all of their processes and look at where AI can fit into every element, from that very first inquiry to the invoice going out the door with all of the work and everything signed off. We go in and look at all of those processes and automate the whole lot. Could you provide the website to your favorite tools? So make.com is how it's spelled out, make.com. Really, really good bit of kit. That's my kind of go-to. It's the prettiest. The error handling's really good. There's so much you can do with it, and I think it's the easiest to learn for beginners. NA10 is causing quite a stir in the market. They've implemented AI agents, so there's an element of that is now getting quite exciting. So if I was to start again, I'd probably focus on NA10. It will be a bit of a steeper learning curve, but I think that's where the market's going to move to. So yeah, I hope that helps. Just starting my automation agency, back-end automations for law firms. Where's the best way to actually learn how to do the delivery? So law firms is a really fun one. They are one of the markets that are going to get shaken up by AI very, very badly, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of memory retention and kind of remembering stuff and these different laws and so on. Don't get me wrong, you're not going to want somebody to kind of represent you in court as an AI. You're going to want a human sat next to you, but for understanding and writing legal documents and so on, AI can do that, and sometimes can even do it better than the people who have been doing law for 20 odd years. And I think with a couple of tweaks, it's going to get better. So onboarding for the law firm, it will really depend on what it is that they're actually doing and what their process is now, and then having a look at that and basically seeing how you would automate that process. Yeah, so I hope that helps. It really depends. I would honestly have a chat with one of them, scope it out, and have a think about, okay, they've said that they get an email in off the back of an email that tells them what they need. It then goes into their CRM. There's then a quoting process, which is worked on how many hours there are and so on. And you basically go through those steps and kind of build that out. Okay, let me have a look and see if there's any more questions. Well, there's loads. Yes, make.com N8N. Let me share this again with you guys. So this is N8N. It's N8N.io. And then make.com is actually, well, you don't need the first bit. Let me see if it'll take me back to the homepage. No. If you just put in make.com like that, they're my go-to toolboxes. I just wanted to kind of touch on a couple of other bits. So the ROI of AI is really interesting. So if you look at these automations that we build on a day-to-day basis, there's multiple benefits of it. Not only you get a load of your time back. So if you're billing per hour for whatever it is that you're selling, or even work out that your time's worth $100 an hour and you're spending 10 hours a month, even 10 hours a year doing a process of copying and pasting and moving data and stuff like that, you're costing yourself thousands of dollars just by not having one of these very simple automations. And they are really cheap to run. Like the cost, especially for N8N, which you can actually run on your own laptop, it's like peanuts. It costs next to nothing to run. So if you're doing anything manually that you feel that you shouldn't be, there's a massive gap in the market. The other side of that is keeping staff happy, being able to automate those boring processes that they're spending way too long sat copying and pasting and doing, is really going to be a bottleneck for them, and they're not going to particularly enjoy doing the work that they do. So you're going to get not only time savings, you're going to get job satisfaction, massive improvements. And then if you start looking at automating your sales side, but like I've said tonight, we get 200 plus booked meetings every single month, if not 300, all off the back of automated sales systems. Can you imagine implementing that into a business that's already booking 200 sales calls, 500 sales calls, just by building out these processes that run in the background and don't require any love or attention? It gets scary very quickly how much additional revenue on top of the cost savings that you're getting, all because you're implementing AI into your business and looking at those processes. So one of the other things I wanted to touch on from, I see that we've got a couple of people that are running AI automation agencies at the moment. So I just want to touch on that for them, guys. So the AI automation model is really interesting because you can get paid in multiple different ways. So we charge for builds, so actually building out the automation. And then depending on what the client's after, we can manage their automations in-house. So almost charge them like an insurance package to make sure that these automations are working. When there's updates to ChatGPT and stuff like that, we can implement it into their automations. And we basically build like a tiny little monthly package that just kind of ticks over in the background. So we're able to get paid multiple times. That stacks up. And you can imagine when you've got 10, 15 chatbots on websites out there, and you're charging them, even if you're charging $100 a month for access to your chatbot that's trained on the company and built really well, that is extremely valuable for them. It would cost them way more than that to hire somebody to sit and respond to these messages. So you can get paid in multiple ways with that. And one of the beauties of it is if you've got an automation built, so let's say pick a good one. So this automation that we built for Craig, that scrapes LinkedIn profiles and builds out these personalized messages. We can sell this automation multiple times to multiple individuals because it's got one universal use. So then it's almost like building a mini SaaS product that you can implement into people's businesses with literally downloading this blueprint and uploading it into somebody else's like process. It's a really powerful way to like substantially increase the amount of money and time that you're spending on these automations. So this automation might have taken me 5 hours to build out, or one of my team 5 hours to build out. this same automation for me to implement into any of your guys' business will take me 20 minutes, but the value is exactly the same. So you can see how the pricing gets very exciting when you look at it from that kind of model. So the other side that I wanted to show you is our consulting arm. So this is a client that we've been into last week. RBW Cars, they build some absolutely awesome EV two-seater classic MG cars that they've retrofitted with EV motors. So they'll only ever produce 6 cars a month because they're all handmade and all of the processes are that sensible. They're moving over to the States, so they'll be doing 15 or so in the States, but they're still going to be building a handful of cars. If you wanted to get a hold of one of these, you can't. It's one of those kind of businesses. But if you look at our consulting process, so we spend basically a couple of days with each part of the team. So we go in and have a look at, we meet with the senior leadership team and speak to them about what processes it is that they want to automate and what that really looks like, and kind of like what's their end goal? Is it increase the value of the company, which the automations drastically do? If you can turn around and say, oh yeah, our business is turning over $20 million a year. Oh yeah, it's fully automated. We've got like 5 staff members. Imagine the value of that compared to someone who's got a team of 50 people and all of these manual processes that if Sarah leaves, then you're doomed because nobody else knows how to do accounts and all of these other things going on. So we're looking at kind of like what is their end goal, how they want to manage customer service, how they want to build that customer journey as it goes. So that then when we're building these processes in, we can focus on that. And then we go department to department to department, looking at their sales, looking at their marketing, looking at their billing, looking at their accounts. For these guys, we even walked around the shop floor and we're looking at how you can implement tablets that when they're doing the quality checks and taking photos of evidence to make sure that everything's done correctly, customers can be updated with photos of how their car's getting on through their process. So it's a 6-week build process. So when you put an order in for one of these cars, which is like months and months and months out on top of the 6 months to build it, they're going to be able to get weekly, if not daily, updates on how the car's getting on, all off the back of a software that's designed just to make sure their car's happy and secure and safe and built in the correct manner. We then build that out into a report, so we turn that into literally a roadmap that tells you exactly how you can automate your business and implement that across the board. We then kind of go through and define the goals and processes that they want to achieve. We look at staff members and how well they're going to take it, and so on. We're able to analyze all of the tasks that they do. Quite a lot of these processes aren't SOP'd and built out. So we go through that process with them and look at kind of what tools they're using on a day-to-day basis and what level of automation we can implement within that. We then kind of look at which tools they're using already and which tools we would recommend. So there's something daft like 2.7 million tools out there right now that claim to have AI in some level of it. And to be honest with you, most of them have AI on the tin and are completely terrible. They aren't actually implementing any kind of AI. They might have an AI chatbot. Like the perfect example of this, Grammarly, the tool that corrects spelling. It's been correcting my spelling for the last 7 years. It's never had AI in it until about 2 years ago. AI came onto the scene and they're like, yes, we are now an AI software. And it's like, there's no real AI in here. Nothing's changed. But it's just a marketing kind of trick to get people to look at your product as new and innovative and all of that. So being able to recommend softwares like NA10 versus Zapier versus Make.com are all processes that people would really struggle to do otherwise, and make that decision. And all of them are different and have their own benefits. So then we're able to kind of build out a report and kind of how we pass that knowledge across. We spec out all of these automations for them. We show them exactly how it is that it needs to be built out. Same as kind of going through one of these, we basically say like, oh, you're going to need a sign request module. This thing going to need some data logged in a Google Sheet. and we can basically lay it out so all of that's bullet pointed and clear so that they know how to fully automate their business. One of the really interesting points on here is the cost savings. So they're not a massive company. They're turning over 5 million or so a year selling cars, which is relatively small for an automotive company. But if you look at the cost savings and potential revenue growth, if you're looking at our automations on the sales side, I know for a fact we will be able to sell more than one car, and they're charging more than that for one car. So if you look at these automation processes, if you're able to reach out to twice as many people and sell even half as many more cars, you've paid for this in like a blink of an eye. And you look at the different kind of elements and how basically even down to the customer service, if they're hiring one person, two people full time, they can go to 1.5 people, or even just one person that's focusing solely on that customer service, because there's elements that are taken away from that. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea of kind of like the different elements of our company, and basically building these automations out. I'm just going to pop back to any questions because I've seen loads more pinging in. And yeah, so if you've got any questions, then we'll just run through those, and then I think I'm about out of time. Okay, would AI automation be good for hospitals, doctors, aged care facilities? Absolutely. I mean, I don't think really there's a business that you can think of that isn't going to benefit from AI in some way. Like even if you look at builders or people in construction and stuff like that, there's AI tools that are able to, even if you take photos of pipes and stuff like that, it can identify what it is that that pipe is, how big it is, and so on, and basically find replacements for those parts available on the internet, or like within their kind of category of parts that they've got available. So every single industry is going to end up with AI in there somewhere. It's the same as the invention of electricity or the internet. Like you're going to end up with it in your business somewhere. Yes, there's some businesses that exist purely on the internet. Yes, there's some businesses that need it more than others. However, every single business is going to have AI at some point, and if you can get ahead and start building some of these automations now, or even just be in the market building these automations for people, there's going to be such a gold rush over these next few years. And if you're on surfing that wave as it comes crashing in, you're going to do really well for yourself. Okay, who have I got here? I've had almost a month waiting for Go High Level to be verified, as in phone numbers. Yes, so I'm assuming you're based in the States because they're particularly difficult with the ATP and so on. There is a couple of ways around it. At the end, drop me a message and I'll see if I can help you out with that. Okay, to get 300 calls booked a month, you need to be a pro in lead gen. If there's no leads, automation doesn't do anything. So yes, and the automation systems that we have is for a range of different outreach strategies as well. So yes, don't get me wrong, you can have AI kind of appointment setting people off the back of ads and stuff like that. It's a really powerful way to do so, but we do a lot of email outreach. So like I ran through earlier, that tool that customizes each email that goes out, we're able to do that en masse. We can send as many of those as we want in a day. Our limit's really how many leads we can get hold of. So that is what's able to generate us those leads, because we're reaching out with a personalized message in a way that's like so impressive with that. So yeah, agreed. If you implement AI and chatbot into your website, doesn't mean that people are going to visit your website, but it can also generate your leads. It can write your SEO based blog posts, which then increase your ranking and you end up with more customers. So there's so much going on there. Yes. What else have we got on here? So, biggest mistake in business that I learned from. Very good question. Probably the biggest thing that I learn early on, especially for the automation space, was how to build out these automations in a way that people are genuinely impressed with what it is that we're offering. So we would go and be like, okay, awesome, this process that you're doing, yeah, we'll fully automate it. People who have like to be in control of what's going on within their business, which I imagine is most of us, if you turned around and said, yeah, you never have to do that process again, was actually quite scary for them. So we had to build it in a way that it was still, they were still able to see the processes that were going on and know that it was being done properly, so that kind of they've still got a pulse on it, despite the fact that kind of like 6 months later you'll check in with them and be like, is everything running okay? And they go, oh, I have no idea. Yeah, I think so. Because they've trusted the system and leave it running. So yeah, it's a really powerful way to kind of build these automations and processes in. And the big learning curve for me personally was kind of keeping clients in the loop on what we were doing for them. So when you come in and look at a bigger company, it's really interesting to see a lot of their processes, especially when you get to the size of 50, 100 employees. I mean, the biggest business we've been into is 14,000 employees. So there is a lot of people sat around and doing not a lot. And there's a ton of processes that can be drastically automated. We went into one business a couple of weeks ago, and they were looking at we were looking at one of their processes, and this lady was sat collecting data manually and putting it into an Excel sheet. And we were like, oh, okay, well, we can automate that. It's like, who looks at this sheet? And they go, oh, Sarah does. And we went and spoke to Sarah, and Sarah had no idea this sheet existed. So this individual sat spending hours a day moving data into a sheet that nobody was even looking at. And kind of managing the expectations around that and looking at these processes was a massive kind of like eye-opening moment for me. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. How much do we charge for our services? That massively depends. The lead generation side we do as more of a monthly package. So we basically give you access to all of our automations and leave you running with these lead generation systems that just will churn over loads of people that are interested in your services. If it's automation builds, it depends on the complexity of the build. Something fairly simple like quite a few of the ones that I've shown you this evening massively vary to that data scraping one. So I'm afraid I'm going to be very vague and say it depends. And then the consulting side depends on the size of the company, how many employees and so on, and basically how many processes we're going to be automating. But yeah, really, it's a great place to be in. So would the Make AI help someone who's studying digital journal? Yes. So make.com, which is a lovely point to carry on from, is able to, it's got basically its own AI in here. So if I just go and make a new scenario here, you can actually come in here and prompt with AI. So you can build out, we can get AI to build processes for you. So if you click build a scenario, you can just add on to here. In fact, you give me one already. Yeah, perfect. So you can just kind of prompt it to build out automations. It will ask you any questions that you need, and it will basically build you out a blueprint. But then all you've got to do is go through and connect these automations together. Don't get me wrong, there's some stuff that gets more complicated, but if you wanted a very simple play on these automations, here you go, there's an automation built. Yes, you're going to have to go in and get your API and connect all of these bits up. But it's a really powerful tool. And I think we'll get to the point where agents are able to do this for us. But for the time being, you still have to go through and connect everything up and make sure it all works. Because you can see I've got an error just from clicking on it. But still, nonetheless, a really powerful tool that's in there. Okay. So how do you get their passwords and kind of the security element of it? So depending on who we're working with, some clients are quite happy to basically rebuild it on their software, so they have to go in and log in. So we're never actually getting access to passwords and so on. Other clients want us to build it out. Happy to send over their passwords, and then they just change them afterwards. So I mean, it's a bit of trust. They're also going to send me money beforehand and expect me to build them an automation. So there's that kind of same level of trust as giving someone your password. But a lot of the stuff's kind of around APIs and data side of it. So yeah, there's loads of ways around it, but if we can kind of get passwords and stuff like that, then it really streamlines that process. Okay, why would I go with NA10 if you were starting over? So you're starting now using Go High Level, Make.com and Zapier. Should I switch? So the only reason I like NA10 is because we're dealing with bigger companies and they've got data secure concerns, GDPR laws to follow and stuff like that. Lots of them are worried about where their data is being stored and being moved around. NA10 is the most secure on the market at the moment. So we use it purely for them. And the other benefit is the agents. So within NA10, you can actually build out quite agents, which has memory, it has AI to have a look at the processes and what they're actually doing on a day-to-day basis. And then it's able to kind of like prompt and feed out information and stuff and make decisions on your behalf about how it manages stuff, which Make.com and Zapier don't have yet. Give it 6 months, not even that, give it 6 weeks, and I'll be shocked if there isn't one. But there's a lot you can do with Make.com and Go High Level. I've scaled our agency to 36 employees pretty much just on the back of Make.com. So you can get around that absolutely no problem. Can I share some of those workflows? Yep, absolutely. I don't think I can attach documents in here, but if I can, I'll pop some in here for you guys. Could you repeat the best steps for us to get started? Is this correct? Number 1, get an account with Make.com and start because it's easier to learn than NA10. Yes, technically, I would be tempted to play around with NA10 first because it's got a steeper learning curve, but the second you get NA10 nailed, it's probably the sweet spot at the moment for all of the AI tools. It's got all of the kit you could ever need. It's not got as many as Make.com, it's not got as many as Zapier, but it's got all of the foundations, and off the back of that, it's got the agents and the security and everything else. So watch YouTube videos on how to build and automate processes. Yeah, absolutely. There's loads of really good YouTube channels out there. You can sit and kind of go through those processes and look at basically what's how they're building it and build it with them, and you'll have those processes as you go, and you'll learn so much by doing it that way. And then you've gone to get a few clients and test it out with. Yeah, 100%. Have a look at the processes that you can automate internally for your own team. Like, how are you doing the billing? How are you, like, all of these elements within your business? What are you posting on social media? That's a great one. We sell loads of social media automations. People haven't got time to be doing it. They're not posting the right stuff. It's things that get forgotten about. And if you can have AI doing it and building out posts that you'd never sit and have time to build out anyway, it's an extremely valuable use of your time, and you'll learn lots by doing that process. And then eventually switch over to NA10 because it's a better AI system. Yeah, you could do that. That wouldn't be a problem at all. NA10's a great platform. You can build everything you need in Make.com. NA10's just got a couple of extra perks at the moment, which I'm sure will change as they go. Okay, what is my TikTok account? Let me share that while I answer the next couple of questions. So this is my TikTok. Oh, what a lovely freeze frame of my face there. I'll get the link for everyone as well. In fact, I'll put it here. So there's a link to our website on there as well. But yeah, if you want to give us a follow, then feel free. Just pop it in the chat for you. There you go. Okay. So this is much simpler than you thought. Absolutely, and I think it's only going to get easier as we go. There's so many tools out there and AI agents and stuff like that being developed that over time it will quite easily be part of that process. and it will just get easier and easier. How do you live with the anxiety of kind of this losing control? I'm not too concerned, to be honest with you. There's a couple of automations that we build in error handlers. Let me see if I can find one quick. So, for example, this one. So, if the automation doesn't work, it just gets ignored. It's not life and death whether this email gets logged in the CRM correctly or not. It's still going to be logged at this stage. So this is just like an added bonus. So we're able to just kind of add those little bits on the end. I'm not too worried about how that data is going to go, and kind of the data that we manage. Mate.com is built out to be very secure. I'm not also dealing with people's bank, well, I am, but all of our bank details are stored in Stripe and so on anyway. So yeah, it's not too concerned about that at all. Okay, I'm getting through these questions now. Can you share some of the workflows? Yes, so there's some on the website and in the comments on a couple of the automations. Like, I believe this one's got one. This one's Craig's, the personalized LinkedIn tool. I believe in the comments is the link to download these. So all of that's in there. Have I tried Manus? Unfortunately not. I've been trying to get hold of an access code, but they're being very strict on it at the minute. The interesting thing with Manus, for those who don't know, is that it's basically an AI agent that's coming soon. It works really well. It's built off the back of Claude, and basically is able to take control of your laptop. You can tell it to go book flights, and it also has its own window, so it can go away, Google flights to X, Y, and Z, look at prices, look at which one's got the best baggage allowance, and kind of do all of that thinking for you, and just basically either provide you back which one it suggests, or kind of and go on from there. So will AI be able to replace AI artists anytime soon? That is a very, very good question. So I think art and that kind of space is one that's gonna struggle to be replaced. Same with music. I think we will get to the point where more and more AI is part of that. I think there's a human element of that we fundamentally understand. If you look at AI on a big enough scale, all it is able to predict the next word really well. So if you put in 1 + 1 equals, like, it knows that 2 is more often said than 7. So that's kind of all it's able to predict. I know it's not particularly good at maths, but that's how it works. The reason when you listen to voice agents and read messages and stuff like that from AI, it just feels AI, is because it's so predictable. And music and stuff like that, I don't know if it will ever be that kind of, whether we'll ever want it to be that predictable. Don't get me wrong, once you've listened to the same song 17 times, then it becomes quite predictable. But yeah, I hope that, like, yeah, I hope that helps with your concerns. But I mean, we've got one client that we do lead generation for who's building AI art pieces. So full scale, like, you know, we walk past shops and their whole window is an art piece. They're building those with AI and being paid particularly handsomely to do so. So the world of AI is crazy for this stuff at the moment, and yeah, really you can be riding that wave. So yes, technically there's going to be a bit more of a rush because it takes 2 seconds to build a 3D AI art piece, or at least it will in a couple of years. So yeah, maybe just start using those tools now and stay ahead of it. What's going on? I've skipped all of your questions. I do apologise. Could you just pop them in again, and I'll go through them. How far should automation go? So on the philosophical side, getting rid of workers and so on. I mean, I don't. With AI replacing humans, there's a big concern around that. I think it will be the same as the day that calculators came along, or QuickBooks and Xero and all of those tools came along for accountants. Like, accountants haven't dropped off the face of the planet. They're still there in other means. And like I said about lawyers earlier, like, AI is gonna shake up their market drastically. However, are you gonna want AI to sit and represent you in court? Probably not. You might want a real human. same for doctors. An AI actually gets a first time diagnosis right more than doctors, and they're probably cheaper. But are you going to sit and chat with an AI on your phone and get a better diagnostic? Or are you actually going to go in and see a real human who can see what's going on and kind of actually talk you through the process and be there and support you through it? So yes, I think there's going to be a shake up, but I wouldn't worry too much. And if you're a business owner, it's really just able to make the most of AI at the moment, because it's going to be really powerful. Okay, I think that's everything. The other thing I'll just show you is our Cybex website. So if you ever want to kind of know any more about what we do, pop on here. There's some of our clients, businesses that we've automated and so on, and just you can drop us an email if that's something that you're interested in. But I think that is me all done, unless anyone else has got any more questions. Oh, John's a lawyer and feeling much more relieved. That is good news. Okay, more final questions. Best adapt. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It's AI's here now. I'm afraid it's out of the bottle. But yeah, that's it is what it is now. Just make the most of it and ideally ride the wave while people are excited about it. Any more questions? If not, I will leave you all. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'd appreciate the follow on TikTok if you've got any questions about what it is that I do or help with your agency and so on. More than happy to help people. So yeah, just drop me a message.
Thank you so much, Dan. That was awesome. Everybody, just go ahead and drop some feedback in the comments. What was the biggest thing you learned? That was a really good, solid session. It was a lot of good stuff. Let's see. Share biggest lessons, great info, great stuff. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone for joining. It was a really great session today, and looking forward to seeing everybody next week. And we would love to have Dan join us again. Dan, if you want to join us again, we would love to have you back on.
Yeah, of course. More than happy to. Will it be okay if I send you over some of these automations, and would you be able to share that out with everyone?
Yeah. So we can do that. We can also have you record some lessons for our AI automation program as well. And then but we can also do that. We can share the resources with everyone.
Good, awesome. I'll get some over to everyone.